Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So as promised, today I'm going to be getting into the LogDrum video that I promised in my previous videos, so I can show you how I create a really powerful LogDrum. So if you load up your LogDrum plugin, which is the DX10, your initial LogDrum will sound like this. But after you apply everything that I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to end up with something that sounds as good as this. Okay, now let's get right into it, right? So I have a track prepared here that I want you to listen to that is missing a LogDrum. It's a really nice track, super simple with some chords. It sounds really great. So here is my chord progression right here. So what I usually do when it comes to my bass lines, if you've been following my videos, but if you're new here, I'm just going to explain it. If you do have a chord progression, you're halfway to getting you a nice, really nice bass line, because what happens with chord progression is that you also have bass notes. So here, down here, these notes are my bass notes, so the bass line is already there as long as you have chords. So that just makes creating bass lines super easy. If you're creating something that doesn't necessarily have chords, then you kind of have to figure out, you know, how you can play your bass, and then you can go ahead and play something or do something like that. But we already have our bass set up here, so that's a good thing. So now I'm just going to go into plugins, and I'm going to pick up the Fruity DX10, and I'm just going to drop it right here on track number 10, so that it's there, and we already have a pattern set up here. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go into the pattern where there's morphine right here, and I'm just going to open the channel rack like that. And what I'll do is I can just copy like that and then just paste here. Now the reason why I'm copying all the chord progression and all the notes in there is because sometimes you might just pick only these bass notes, but then maybe you want the other notes that are up here, which is something that can happen sometimes. So it's just okay to just have those, unless if maybe you just want to use ghost notes, which is something you can do. So as long as you just come here and you enable ghost channels, if you want to do that, that's up to you, or just copy. But for me, I just like to copy because it's all there. I don't have to click them in again. All I'm just now doing is that I'm just now deleting. So I can just select all these and just delete. So I can just delete all of these like that. Make sure there's no notes. Okay, I almost deleted that last one here, so that's cool. So I'm gonna go into the DX10, and then I'm gonna pick up LogDrum right here. So let me just solo this pattern and just increase this so that it's bigger. So you can hear the LogDrum. It doesn't sound as good. Let me play that again so you can hear how the LogDrum is sounding here. It's not sounding powerful enough or really good. So let me just play it back. So for now, what I'm going to do with this bass is I'm going to just make it louder so I can hear it playing with the chords themselves. So I'm just going to raise the volume here so that it's louder. And then I'm going to open it up like this and just make sure that I can hear it clearly. So here's the, the LogDrum itself. So I'm just going to close all of this so that we only remain with just the plugin itself. So we're hyper focused on what we're doing, right? So you guys can see what's really happening. And unfortunately, I don't think you can resize this window. That'll be a cool thing. But anyways, I'm being sidetracked. So here's the plugin here. So the two places I usually focus on is right here by amplitude and right here by modulation 1. Modulation 2, I don't really mess with it that much. Even in the miscellaneous right here, I probably won't touch those two, but I like to focus on amplitude and modulation 1. And we're going to start here by modulation 1. And here by modulation 1 is when you look at where it says init right here, it's just the attack of the sound. So you can play around with this switch here to change the attack of the sound. So just listen to the bass while I change this. So listen to how the LogDrum is going to sound as I play around with this knob. So you see, as I go up and down, it's changing the attack. You know, if I go low like this, there's no attack at all. It's super soft. And if I go up like this, there's a lot of attack. So you want to play with this just to play around with how you want the attack to sound like. So if you want that pop right there in the beginning of your LogDrum, this is the switch you play with. And then you've got the time right here, like how long you want it to be and how much you want it to sustain. So you can see it's raising this part here. So right here by the sustain, that's where you get that boing that you like in LogDrum. And then you also have the release. Like it just plays around with how soon it's going to release. So now that I've tweaked a little bit, let's play it back. So it's actually sounding much better than how it sounded in the beginning. And then next we're going to move on to the amplitude. Right here by the amplitude, I like to play with the decay. The decay will change the sound to sound even much more bigger, much more powerful than it was sounding like. So right now as it's playing, it's just playing and then it's decaying, right? So what I can do, I can come here to the master and then I can load in, let's say a Maximus. Matter of fact, let's load up a limiter. Let's just load the fruity limiter right here. And then we're just gonna close this so we can take a look. So it's a good idea to also just look at the wave of the sound. Like you can see the wave right here is just decaying like this. So that whatever you're doing, you can kind of see how the sound is looking like. So now let me just increase the decay. So now do you see the difference between that waveform and this waveform here? You can see that as soon as I increased the decay, the sound became much more full and much more powerful because it was decaying too quickly. But as soon as I increased it, it's holding on much longer. So let's see if I can increase the decay a little bit more. So that's a bit too much, so I'm just going to drop it down a little bit more. So you can clearly see how I made this LogDrum to sound better by just designing the sound itself on the plugin without me even adding any further plugins into the mix of this. So most people like to just start adding effects to the sound to try and beef it up, but it starts by designing the LogDrum itself, making sure it has a place where you're comfortable with, and then you go ahead and add effects. So at this point here, I'm not even going to add effects. The only thing that I'll do though is, as it's playing right now, it's playing really nicely, but I'm just going to add maybe an EQ. I'm just going to add a parametric EQ right here so I can raise the overall loudness of the sound. Just in case the sound was soft, like if I come back and I reset the level here, it becomes soft, right? So if you just wanted a bit more volume, you can just add an EQ and then boost the volume right here. And right here on the EQ, you can also see that the sound is full. You can see that you have low frequencies here, and then you also have some mid and low mid frequencies as well. So which means it's a healthy signal. So if you want to add some saturation, you can also do that just to beef up the sound even a little bit more. But for me right now, it sounds really good. So now let's listen to it in the track right now and see how it sounds like. That sounds pretty good, but now what we want to do is we just don't want to end the LogDrum here. We want to make it sound even nicer, but we're done with designing it, but this is now just extra to really drive home the LogDrum. So what I like to do right here is I just don't want it to sustain like this, but I want to add just cuts, just different notes in between. We don't have to draw them in again because we already have notes here, so I can just do cuts. So I can cut right here, and cut again right here. And again here. And I'm going to cut again here. So that's the bass here. So I just did some cuts just to play around with it, and you can go even further with that by just trying out some different notes. Like I can raise certain notes, like to go up like this if I wanted to, you know, just to spice things up. So it's all up to you how you want to play with your LogDrum, but I hope all of this makes sense. But what's important is just to make sure that you design your LogDrum so it sounds the way you want in the beginning, and then you can go ahead and add effects. Like right now I didn't even add any effects, but it's already sounding super great. But if this video was helpful and you found it mind-blowing, make sure to drop a like on this video and also subscribe if you're new. And if you have any questions or anything like that, hit me up in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys think, and if you have anything that you want to share, the comments are always there. And if you want to support the channel, there are links that are down below to all my drum kits and all my templates and things like that you can find. Everything that I use to make my music is linked in the description down below, so make sure to check that out. But other than that, I'm gonna see y'all in my next video. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.